Hi, this is James from Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to look at the 1 to 4 player game, Circadians First Light, and it's published by Renegade Games. In this game, you have gone to a new planet, and you're trying to be able to negotiate with the inhabitants, build up your hangar, get these crystals that are out on the planet, and be the most successful at that. So let's go ahead down to the table here. I'll show you how to play this game, or I'll give you a general overview of how to play this game, and then we'll come back and I'll give you my final thoughts. All right, so this is Circadians First Light. Now, a couple things to talk about during setup here. You're going to place out this planet board, and then you're going to place out these randomly around the planet board in these little slots. And on the planet board, there's little symbols on the very top here. You're going to place those resources out on the board. Then you're going to place every player's harvester in the middle. You will also be setting up this board over here, put all the cylinders off to the left, and randomly select one of the sides of these factions that are out on the planet that you're going to be interacting with and trying to negotiate with for points. Then you're going to place all these boards out. You'll place all these boards based on player count. They'll have the player count listed in the upper right hand corner. Put all the resources so everyone can gather, all the contracts, and all of the heroes. Now the heroes themselves, what you're going to do at the start of the game is you're going to shuffle these up and randomly hand one out to each player. And these heroes are pretty cool. They all have little sort of asymmetric abilities that you can have during the game itself. So everyone's going to randomly get one of these, and that's going to be sort of like their superpower during the game. The rest will go back in the box. And for mine is going to be this guy, Jacob Olander. Any time you gain a farm tile, also gain one ship tile for free, which is super awesome. They're all really awesome abilities for all these guys. You're going to start off with 15 water. Now this is the 5 water. This little tiny one is a 1 water. Same thing for algae and energy. The small ones are 1s and the big ones are 4. You'll start with 4 algae and 2 energy. And however you decide the first player, they're going to get this radio communicator to show they're the first player. They're also going to get a bunch of these dice, and this is their reserve, and they're going to get 3 to be able to play with for now. So these dice are your action dice. So there's pretty much your workers for the game. And what you're going to do is you're going to put up this little barrier here, and you're going to roll your dice and you're going to place them here. I'll show you in a second. The game takes over 7 rounds. And each round has 4 different phases to them, which shows on the inside of your player board here. We have plan, execute, harvest, and rest. And then this shows you how to do the game end scoring. And this shows you your players setup up here. So those are really nice as your dividers. You will also get 3 contract cards that I forgot to mention, and you will draft them. And what you're looking on the contract cards is here's your points, here's a cool ability you can get for the game, and here's the cost. So the ones that generally cost more resources give you more points, and this one here is really nice because it's 1 point for algae that you have at the end of the game. So you're going to draft these, and you're going to end up with 3 contracts at the beginning of the game. And you'll keep these secret, and you're going to try to complete them. I'll show you on different parts of this board. So each round, every player is going to put up the screen. They're going to roll their dice. I'm going to remove this board here just so we can see what's happening. And you can place your dice anywhere where there is this sort of symbol on there. So I have I have all these spaceports I could put it in, and I have all these algae plants that I could put it in, or all these plants that I could put it in, farms or whatever. You have to place these guys left to right. However, when you're placing in the farm areas, you don't. You can put them wherever you want. So let's say I place this one here and this one here, and I place this one here. Well, we'll place it here just to show that I could do that. Now this here, the farther you go along the lines, this is going to cost more and more algae. Before you could place this one, you actually have to pay that algae to place that out. So the more actions you do, the more it's going to cost across the top. So let's say that's what I pick, and I'll lift this up, and these are going to be my actions for the turn. Now, what can you do? Well, there's a ton of different places on the board. Some of them are going to be permanent places, so I will permanently lose these dice. And that's going to be here for the depository, and when I do negotiation up top, which we'll show last. But before the round starts, you're going to flip one of these cards, and this tells you what's going to be the condition for the round. This one here is water tax. Headquarters does not reward water or contract cards. So we're not going to want to go to the headquarters this time, which I'll show you what that means, because we're not going to get those contracts or that water. Now, this is also the time counter. This will go for 7 rounds, and at the end of the 7th round, the last card will flip, which is always the same. It'll reveal those, and I'll show what that means in a second. All right, so we finished the planning phase. That is just what that is, and then we're going to do the execute phase, which are going to remove the screen, which we did, and we're going to send dice from the headquarters, and then send dice from the garages, our little areas, in turn. So I'm the first player, so I would go first. I'd do one, and then we'd go on and on until no one had any dice. Now, what it means by headquarters is this is one of the locations that you can go. We'll go over this guy first and forget about that being out. If there was any dice here, they get placed out first before anyone else gets to go. Now, if there's a die here, you can flip it over to the opposite side if you want, if it's a better value, and then you get to place it out. And up to 4 dice can fit. During the round, you can't take the die that you placed here at the beginning of the round and place it back to the headquarters. That's not allowed. But later on during the round, if you want to place one of your dice from here on here, you will get either 2 contracts or 5 water, except for this one, the global effect is that you don't. So that's one space you can do. So think worker placement. This is dice placement, but think worker placement style game. This is the depository. This is a place to get points at the end of the game. And what you're going to do here is you're going to take your die value. So let's say I had a 3. I can only put it in this column, and I'll pick which one I want to do because it'll be open, and this die will permanently be there. I then get to complete one of my contracts. I will put this down and get the reward on the top, and then I also get the permanent bonus down on the bottom, which is generally points. Then I will get the reward across the top here. I'll get to remove the harvester, which I'll show you what that means in a second. 1 space. I get to another die, which is another worker. You can only ever have 5 at any one time at the end of the round. And that die would go over here because it wouldn't be usable until the next round. And then I would get 2 contracts. Or I could get 2 contracts. So the things that I can get there for placing my die anywhere on here. Plus, like I said, I can complete a contract. The other thing I could do is I can go to this place and trade resources. Now this one here, the market, if I put a die here, the number on the die shows how many trades that I can actually make. So here I could trade 2 energy for 1 of these crystals, which every crystal at the end of the game is worth a point, so that's cool. Here I could trade 4 algae for a crystal, or opposite way around, crystal for 4 algae. Here I could trade 3 water for 1 energy, 1 energy for 3 water, or 3 water for 2 algae, or 2 algae for 1 energy, or 1 energy for 2 algae. That's how this market works. Like I said, if I place this 3 here, I could do up to 3 trades. So that place is pretty easy. All right, so the next one up here, we have the mining colony. What we're going to do with the mining colony is we're going to dock dice. This is going to be the value that we are subtracting from the die value. So to determine how much water we have to spend to get a gem, and the further up, like we get 2 gems here. So basically what it is, so let's say I put this 3 on here, which I have to go left to right, so this would be the first placement, and I go here. So this would be 6 minus 3. I would have to spend 3 water to get 1 of these gems. That's the mining colony. Next up is going to be the academy. Oops, sorry. Get some focus here. The academy is pretty cool because when you place these down, you're going to spend X resources to get X number of dice, so extra workers. So this place here, I have only a 1, 2, or 3 dice can be placed, and I can spend 4 water to get 1, or 10 water to get 2. Here, a 4 or 5 can be placed. I can spend 2 algae to get 1, 6 algae to get 2. Here, I could put a 6-sided die down, and I spend 1 energy to get 1, 3 energy to get 2 dice. So that's a good way of getting extra actions for the next turn. Like I said, the max is 5. So a couple other places we can go. We'll go over this one real quick first, because this one's super simple. Whenever you place your die here, so there's up to 4 spaces available on this board here, then you either spend 2 energy or 10 water, and depending on the face of the die that you placed, you can move your harvester that direction. Now, if you ever move your harvester onto one of these spots that have these resources on it, you immediately get them. So that's a nice little bonus. And the farther out you go on this board, the more valuable these resources will become. So that is also really, really cool. All right, so what else can we do? We could also go to the foundry, and if we go to the foundry, we're just picking up one of these ships. And one of these ships here, which give you different sort of cool bonuses for going to those spots, will go on your board from left to right, covering these over. To do that, you're going to have certain die faces to get certain rows, but you have 2 spaces to go. So if it's a 1 or 2, I'll get here. If it's a 3 or 4, I'll get this. If it's a 5 or 6, I'll get this one. And I have to spend 2 energy or 10 water to be able to get one of these and upgrade my garage. The last place here is the laboratory, and the laboratory is pretty cool. You have to have 2 of the same numbered die. So let's say I place this die out, then I can place both of these dice to here. They don't matter what the value is, they just have to be identical. And when I go here, I'll have to pay 3 algae or 10 water, and I can pick one of these tiles. It doesn't matter which one, I can pick any one I want, and I could upgrade one of my spots. Cool thing about upgrading, and the farther I upgrade down the track, is the last one so let's say I did this. At the end of the game, the first one that's uncovered, in this case, through this 3-point one would be the points that I get at the end of the game for my garage. So 3, this is 0, I'll get farther on 2, and then 4, and all the way up to 7 for this, and all the way up to 8 for that. All right, so what else do you have? When you pull these workers from here, you could also do these bonuses that are underneath. So here I can move the die up 1 or down 1 before I placed it. This here I get 1 energy. This one here I can flip the die. This one here I can get +3 on the one of these harvesting actions if I had 2 out, so I did that. Here I get water or algae equal to the number of the die that I put in here, so I could get 4 water or 4 algae. A couple other things to keep in mind that happen for the worker placement game is if I for some reason can't place this die right here, this die and all dice to the right will go over to the cantina, and I will get 2 water for each of the dice that ended up over here. And that's worker placement throughout the game. Last place I wanted to talk about is where we're going to do the negotiations. Now these negotiation spots all have really cool bonuses that you get to do on the top here, and you can place your die on anywhere of these you qualify. So if I spend 10 algae, I can get 12 points. If I spend 12 energy, I can get 14 points. If I spend 6 gems, I can get 15 points, and so on and so forth down the list. When I place my die on here, the first couple of cool things that get to happen is I could take that bonus up on the top for that faction, and I also, if there's a cylinder that matches the number here, I get to move it over here and get the bonus. Now these bonuses across the top do different things. I can move my harvester, I get a plant tile, I can get a shipping tile, I can move my harvester, I can get an extra worker, and I can get a gem. So put those over there. Once these are taken or removed, they can't. So if I put another 3 here, it doesn't count. The next thing here I can do is see if I get any penalties. Now penalties will be if in any of the column that I placed in, if it is 8 or more, 10 or more, 12 or more, 15 or more, or there's 2 dice of the same type. If I qualify for any of those, I could pick one of the cylinders, any one I want, and I'll move it over here and get a negative bonus. So I lose 2 contracts, lose a worker, lose a gem, have to move my harvester closer back to the center, lose a shipping, or lose a farm. So that's how those contracts work, but those are the points for at the end of the game. So that is going to be the execution phase. After the execution phase, you're going to do harvest and then rest. Harvest is pretty simple. Wherever you are at, wherever your harvester's on the board, you're going to get the depicted values down on the bottom. So here I'll get 12 water, 4 algae if mine was here. If I'm over here on the outside, which is important in a second, I would get a gem and a worker. So wherever your harvester's at, you're going to harvest those resources. Reset simple, you're going to return all your dice back to you, except for the ones that are in the headquarters, the ones that are in the depository, and the ones that are out on contracts. The ones that are in the headquarters do count to your 5 dice limit at the end of the round. So if I would have had 5 here and 1 up here, I would have to discard this die down, so I'm down to 5. And that is basically an entire round. And you're going to continue on doing this, going through these rounds, moving harvesters, getting resources, getting points, doing all this stuff until the end of the 7th round. At the end of the 7th round, what's going to happen is these gem caches, so this is where we're going to get into scoring. Gem caches are going to flip, and these are going to be the points if your harvester is on there. So that's going to be 6 points at the end of the game. There's a couple other things you're going to get points for. You're going to check how many points you got on the negotiation board. You're going to check how many fulfilled contracts you had. You're going to check, see if your harvester's on these gem caches, which will give you points, and your shipping and resource-based points, like I explained. Also, gems are worth 1 point each at the end of the game. Person with the most points at the end of the game wins. And in a really quick nutshell, that is how you play Circadia First Light. Let's go ahead back up to the table here and I'll give you my final thoughts on this game. Okay, so I hope you liked that overview. Should give you a pretty good idea how this game plays. Now, starting off with component quality, the component quality on this game is amazing. I love how much they put into how thick the cardboard is. They have those really cool gems. The storage container for this game is really, really good. I like that too. I like how I have little storage containers for each of the major resources. I like how they're nice and thick wooden pieces. Overall, component quality, great on this game. Gameplay is a lot of fun for this game. I like the asymmetric powers that you pick up at the beginning of the game. They're not super overpowered, but they're really nice. They sort of give you a nudge in one direction or another. I really like all the decisions that you can make throughout the game, and I really like putting this in this command center so I can get the dice out early the next round. A lot of really cool things to think about in a relatively fast worker placement game. I really love dice placement games. I like rolling those dice, placing them behind the shield, and then lifting up and seeing what everyone else did. Really helps with the player interaction because you're like, whoa, what are they doing? Do I have to compete with them for some of these spaces on the board? Really great, really fun game. So if you're looking for a medium weight worker placement game, I would highly recommend checking out Circadians First Light. Thank you for watching.